What's up, y'all? This your girl Flo Essencee at the BYOB retreat. I'm so excited to be here with over 50 plus creatives and professionals in the DC area. What other way to spend your Memorial Day weekend than to be right here in DC? Make sure y'all stay tuned. It's a lot of information and a lot of things for you to learn. You talked a lot and dropped a lot of gems during the seminar. What was one of your most prominent parts about it and something that you actually learned being a panelist up there?
I think something that I learned from being a panelist is opportunity. So when my fellow panelists was talking about tech, emerging tech and hip hop, it's a reminder that two things that usually wouldn't go together, we wouldn't associate them with each other. They can align and build synergy to become something greater. And I think that's a lot. That speaks volumes to the African community, and not just always thinking as hip hop with like the traditional MTV or music videos, but hip hop, how hip hop can be incorporated in mainstream America, and we can own the narrative.
So talk about how you got here. Like, what was your journey like? What was the hardest part? Even working for Puff Daddy, Sean Diddy Combs. Like, what is that like?
So how I got here, so I would say I'm a product of the Dollar and the Dream story. I literally moved to New York, no job, on my sister's couch, on her best friend's couch, and really just keeping my vision aligned and really going after what I wanted, from being fired, from being like working a temp job. So I think just staying true to my passion and not giving up when the times got hard. I started working for Combs in 2014 after I was in publicity for Remy Martin Cognac for 2 years. So it was a smooth crossover because I was already working in the wine and spirits realm of things. Working for Combs is an interesting experience because no 2 days are the same. You're surrounded by like the most inspiring individuals that are hungry, and literally you learn that nothing is impossible. So literally it could be right now, we need something for tonight, and you're like, okay, I can do it. So it's like the learning curve is the wildest learning curve I've ever experienced, but you really like understand that you can make anything happen. And that, I think like the large part about Combs is you can do it for him and you can also do it for yourself. And they, really promote like, go do something for yourself. You go get on Forbes. You go build your family's legacies and use what you learned here to do that.
So what is one thing you can tell someone who wants to be in your shoes? What is, should they work hard? What should they really focus on and hound on to?
So I would say for somebody that wants to be in my shoes and go after a non-traditional career path, I would say do not compare yourself to others. Run your own race. Stay focused and true to your passion. I think a lot of people in our generation, the millennial generation, they hop from passion to passion. Like 1 week is I want a hair care line. Another week is I want to be an influencer. Another week I want to be a photographer. Another week I'm a makeup artist. But focus. You can't be, you jack of all trades is great at nothing. So literally focus, give yourself time to build an empire. So, Mr. Combs didn't build Combs Enterprises when he was 20. He built Bad Boy. So just take the time to run your own race and do one thing at a time and put your all into it. And like literally when all the obstacles and adversities you could ever think stand in your way, just take a step back and then figure out how to, jump over that hurdle.
With Lola, I'm so excited to speak with her because she is like the marketing guru of everything. Lola is doing a lot of great things, but one thing I really, really love about her is her story and her grind. And I just want to really talk about that a little bit and talking about why it's important to really work hard to get to where you want to get to.
Sure. Well, one of the things that was brought up in our panel was the fact that you have to really work hard, have work ethics, strong work ethics in order to achieve things. And I moved to Canada when I was 13 as an immigrant. I didn't speak English. I had to learn English there, and I became a journalist, and I was writing 5 years later. So it was crazy to know, to feel passionate about something and have to work twice as hard as everybody else to be able to achieve it, because other people just, it was an innate thing to be able to speak English, whereas I had to translate things in Albanian in my head and then translate it back again in English if I wanted to talk about something. So yeah, my dad used to always say there's no such thing as I don't want to. There's no such thing as I can't. There's only I don't want to. And that I really stuck with me. So anytime I wanted to do something, it was all about me putting the effort and the work in. Nobody would help me, and I didn't know how to ask for help, because in this industry it's like, who do you ask and for what? Who got the time to tell you, to help you with their relationships? Who got the time to hand you over contacts and say, here, you're amazing and you're passionate, take my contacts and go do what you do? You kind of have to build it for yourself. And so working hard is really the only thing that I had. And
in terms of brand management, and right now we have social media, so a lot of people are relying strictly on the internet. So talk about why it's important to really build those real foundations and relationships with people so that you can really further what it is that you're trying to do.
I think it's important because a lot of people want, what they want on social media is the cosigns. What they want is the tags. I mean, that's how you grow. You grow through cross-branding and cross-marketing. A lot of that is not going to happen unless you have authentic relationships with people. So when people shout me out, or the companies or the artists that I have, is because it's a genuine partnership. And so it's important to build relationships outside of just social media, because those are just social media relationships. You don't see those people, you don't interact with them, you don't necessarily have things in common unless you really meet them in person and you really have real relationships. And so it's important to build outside of just social media, so that way those are long-lasting, authentic relationships.
Being here for BYOB, what is one of your biggest takeaways that you really want to be able to convey to the audience and everyone listening to you?
Invest in yourself if you want other people to invest in you. And that doesn't necessarily have to be financial, but again, going back to that work ethic, is you want people to take you seriously, you want people to appreciate the work that you do. And so if you're not putting 100% of effort or work into your dreams and your goals, other people are going to see that, and they're not going to do that either.
Some power players. I'm telling you guys, I'm so passionate about this group of individuals that I have with me. They're doing some amazing things. So I really want to ask a really important question to you all. Why do you guys think it's so important to do what you do? Your job is so selfless, and you know, even though there are job descriptions, I'm sure your job falls out of the job description oftentimes. So what keeps you going?
But my thing is that we all have to leave this earth empty, and once we do that, we've served our lot. And so that's what I'm going to keep on doing. I think that's in collaboration with these guys. You know, all of our efforts are going to be around that. And so we look forward to just the future of this building.
To stay motivated is, for one, just like you said, to be on a panel like this, especially with so many black men talking about mental health, and it's amazing. Yeah. But then also we are helping a generation before us to heal, but then also we are planting seeds to the generation after us to really heal and address the issues that we experience over generations and stop passing that hurt.
I am actually from San Bernardino, California, and it was plagued with a lot of gang violence. My fiance, when I was just about to graduate, 2 weeks from graduating high school and going off to college, he was murdered by his own homeboys. And it led me to study psychology and kind of get involved. And then I actually grew up in a domestic violent home. So I watched, oh, my mom gonna kill me. But I watched my father beat my mom for 16 years. And I told myself that I would never let another black woman go through that. And for me, like, my mom was a teen mom, so that's kind of why my calling is to serve teen moms. I'm building right now a nonprofit so my mother can run it, because for me, she did an amazing job. And she is the strongest woman I know to go through all of that and still raise a phenomenal woman like myself. So that's why I do therapy, and that's why I want to serve my community, and that is my motivation. I feel like it's kind of selfish, because I'm like, yeah, you went through that, and now, but I feel like at the end of the day, we have these people in America who are going through so much, and the black community need us. We need each other.
I would say purpose. God put me on this earth to talk about these things that we don't like to talk about. Like I like to say, shed light on a dark place in black America. So all I can say is purpose. Uphold 31:8 stands, is the scripture, is Proverbs 31:8 speaks. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. So at the core of everything I do, I'm speaking up for people who don't have a voice.
I'm the oldest of 9. We all grew up in the same house. So we grew up not in the best conditions, and I always knew that I always wanted to be able to be that voice for people. And I got my first glimpse of that growing up, and being the oldest, having to be the example, and had all these other little minions pretty much following me and mimicking everything that I do. You know, so I felt like it's very important that I have to be the voice. I have to be the smart one. I have to feed people, sometimes, because, my mom, worked 2 or 3 jobs. My dad sometimes not being there, So I always felt like it's important that we have to help people that cannot help themselves. And if you have the power to do so, then you might as well do it.
When you learn to surrender and sit in that stillness and silence, because one thing you have to understand and realize is that people come and go. Trump is going to come and go. Things are going to come and go. Noise is going to come and go. But what remains constant and ever present in your life is the stillness and silence. And when you learn to operate in that stillness and silence and you learn to manifest, nothing becomes impossible in your life. We give energy and light to everything that exists in our world. We coin it as good and bad. There are no good and bad moments. There are only experiences that define us, that allow us to grow and become the man and the people that we need to be within our lives and to live within our purpose. But if you don't understand that, and you're living hopeful, and you have no idea how to elevate to a state of being faithful, then how do you ever plan to manifest? How do you ever plan to take this brand that you have and build it and grow it into this enormous business if you don't even have faith in yourself? Half of you in here are hopeful, and you've been hopeful your whole life. You don't even know what it means to be faithful. You don't even know what it means to manifest being faithful. So I challenge you all to stop allowing society to distract you from living within the fullness of your greatness. Because you are all capable of greatness, of doing amazing things in this world. And my life is a reflection of that. If I can do it, you all can do it.
What is so important about networking? What are the key things that people need to look forward to when it comes to building your brand?
I think we should stop calling it networking and basically call it connecting, because that's what it is. And I think yesterday we talked a lot about like the in-person, but the advantage we have, people our age versus like the Diddy's and Russell Simmons and Jay-Z's, who I love, that's my dad, is that we have the internet. A lot of people don't talk about. A lot of people slide in people's DMs, emails and stuff that they don't talk about, like how to network that way. So I think it's very important to work on your approach, like how things are mutually beneficial to both of you, and don't just network with someone just to network. Like if that's not someone you want to work with, then why are you even reaching out? It's wasting your time. So yeah.
You brought up something really key, which is between email and DMs. So yes, we do have the internet, and yes, we are on social media. Which one do you think is more effective now, emailing or a DM?
I think DMs might be more effective now, because sometimes people email me like a text message. I'm not even responding to this. They're like, yo, I'm like, it's like one line. I'm like, why did you, it was like, I don't even know why you wrote that. Like, it's the email. Like, I don't even know who I'm talking to. I'm like, can I get your name before I answer all your, I have no way to answer your question. I don't even know. Yeah, so I think DMs are more effective too, because people are just always on Instagram and stuff too, and then they can see your face, your profile, your numbers, and stuff like that.
I am standing here with the owner of FUBU. Carl, how are you?
How you doing?
I am amazing. It's an honor to stand here and talk with you.
It's an honor to be here.
Talk about how it is sustaining and building a brand that's evolving with the world and everything in society and things changing.
Well, I think you said all the key words. It's evolving and changing, and being able to notice different trends and jump on them at the right time. You know, and not too fast, not too early, not too late. And reinvesting in not just your company, but outside companies to keep things going.
Yeah. So we're at Build Your Own Brand, and why do you think it's so important?
It's hugely important. I say that because we didn't have these things when we first started our company. And information, and not just information, but access to information is the key, and a lot of times it's what holds us back from going to the next level in business. A lot of times we're not raised in a community that has access to information like other people are. So having these situations and bringing people together to share information, to share ideas is extremely important. And everyone should come here with the purpose of receiving information and writing it down and keeping it and utilizing it later.
Absolutely, absolutely. What do you think is like one of the most important tools to hold on to when you're building a brand?
I think the most important tool to hold on to is probably perseverance, because you're going to go through so many changes, and just in the market and just in a personal level, emotionally. So just going through the physical, the way, just to hold on through the different changes and the challenges that you're going to go through, is really building up that stamina to get through that. Yeah. So I tell people all the time to not just work on your business, but work on yourself, work on your psyche, your mind, work on your body, keep it in shape, keep things going, because you're going to need these things to get through all these rough times. You're going to need to build that stamina to get through it. Do the marketing that you have to do on the internet, but also do the basic things that it takes to grow a company, whatever company you're in. There's certain basics to it. Follow those basics, use the internet as a tool, but don't depend on it.
I am here with Brandon, who just got spanking off an amazing, amazing panel. How you feeling?
I'm feeling really good. How are you doing, Flo? I feel very Flo-like.
Ooh, I'm feeling great, thank you. You just got done talking about KPIs and all sorts, and please let everyone know what a KPI is first, and then why it's so important when it comes to building your brand.
Of course. So, in terms of what a KPI is, basically it's a key performance indicator, specifically what is important in terms of your business. So really, in basic terms, because I don't like technical terms, and really just to bring it to what it really is, what is bringing you, money in your business, or at least in my line of work. I create, websites that is sales optimized and conversion optimized, which means when traffic comes to a site, how exactly are we converting those people into actual sales, new customers, members, subscriptions, etc.? So in terms of my line of business, what a KPI is, how are we getting people to that specific, last call to action? How are we making them get to be that member, that new customer, get that new subscription for a business? So it's important because a KPI in my line of business is how are we getting people to actually pay us to do, what we're doing. So that's what a KPI is, and yeah, so it's different depending on who you ask and what industry they're coming from. But in terms of my line of work in creating a digital sales funnel and bringing eyes and attention to a website and actually getting them to convert and become that new customer, is very important that our KPIs are that final step.
Right. So if you were to drop just like one gem to someone who was just starting their business and they're really trying to figure out their demographics, who they're exactly supposed to be selling to, and they have no idea, what would you tell them is the best way to funnel that and figure that out, other than hire you?
Well, that's first and foremost. No, that's a good question. I would always say I'm a martial artist first before I'm a digital marketer, and that's why at Gross Media we work specifically with fitness and lifestyle brands, because that is not only my expertise in terms of what I've done, but also with my technical skills and my team's technical skills, we can solve those businesses' challenges in our familiar area.
Because martial arts is so much more than just like fighting. It's like a whole...
Yeah, it's a lot of mind.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, so we stick in the fitness realm, and I think with that said, that's very familiar for me and my team. So work in a space that's very familiar with you. If you're if you're like another martial artist, or you're selling, I met this girl who was selling soy candles. She knows the whole process of like naturalistic candle making. So don't go and try to serve another audience you have no idea about. Go with familiar first, something you understand yourself personally and can actually solve the challenges and the problems of other people in that specific industry. Start with that, and you can create an audience because, number one, you're familiar with the area. It's easier for you to understand, and people actually understand you because you're familiar to them. They understand your speak, what you're about, etc. So I feel like starting at a familiar point and then moving and creating a culture and a audience from what's familiar.
One thing that I love that you did was you incorporated the creator, and I think that is so important, especially because when we're in this and we're building our brands, we get frustrated. We run into a lot of obstacles and we don't have that thing to hold on to, and nobody wants to talk about it. If they do believe in God, they kind of are a secret about it for whatever reason. So talk about why you feel it's so important to express that and be so open about your relationship with God.
Well, I think it's important because we are of God. Yeah. So God resides within us. I was just telling another gentleman at the conference that, our entire lives we're taught that we should go into the church and we should give tithes, and that's where we should find God. But in reality, the temple of God is within us. And in order for us to be able to build that foundation, we have to understand that. We have to understand who we are and why we're divine human beings. And we're divine human beings because the temple of God resides within us, and it's our responsibility to tap into that and to understand and stay connected to that source of energy.
Absolutely, absolutely. So talk a little bit about your journey. We see you now, and you are all over the place. You're amazing, but it wasn't always that sweet. No. So talk a little bit about what you went through.
Yeah, I went through a lot of struggles. You know, I touched on my keynote. You know, I was molested for 5 years. I was abused. I mean, I went through a lot of different experiences, but, you know, all of those experiences were just designed to get me to where I needed to be and to grow as a human being and to understand how to connect with other human beings, because my story becomes a story of faith for other people to look up to and be inspired by. So, you know, I've been through a lot, but all of those struggles, even with my brand and going against Louis Vuitton in this lawsuit and litigation, it was really tough. It was emotionally and physically draining, but you understand who you are as a divine human being and the universe that is within you, and you learn how to wield that power, then you're able to overcome all of those adversities.
What was something that you would have told your old self that you didn't know that you would, I guess, for you to move forward now? So
surrender.
Surrender.
Surrender. We as human beings, we like to be an obstruction because we want to be in control. So we obstruct the flow of the universe. Instead of us flowing with it, we flow against it. And I think I would have told my old self, hey, don't worry, everything's going to be okay, just surrender. Because by surrendering, you begin to flow with the universe, and everything happens within the divine consciousness, the divine plan. And you know, you limit all of the distractions and all the chaos and confusion that comes when you try to be in control and not surrender.
So they just got up an amazing panel talking about how to save your first $10,000. Yes. Please talk about that, because I mean, saving $1,000 is hard. So
yeah, that's why I say, look, we focus on saving the first 10,000, but for a lot of people, like I say, you trying to get that first comma, we trying to get that first 1,000, and so we hit on a lot of really great things, just making sure you know your 2 magic numbers, how much money you're making, how much money you're spending. Also, you know, not calling it a budget, calling it a plan to tell your money how you wanted to do and what you wanted to do for you. So we gave them a lot of just really great tools to hit that first, not just 10,000, but that first 1,000, because that's the goal for a lot of people.
So I'm actually a big Dave Ramsey fan, and I listen to him a lot.
He's cool. He ain't no Dominique Broadway, but he's cool.
Okay, Dominique, I'm about to get on your plan. Don't even worry, I'm on my way. What do you think is the biggest misconception when it comes to saving money?
When it comes to saving money, I think the biggest misconception is that you have to be perfect with it. That is, like, if you're not saving a certain amount each month, like, you can start where you are. So if it's just a matter of getting into the habit of saving, like putting $1 to the side, put up $5, like work your way up. So we talked about how to save your first $10,000, but like she said, if you're not at 10,000, focus on saving your first 100, your first 1,000, and then go from there. And so you don't have to be perfect with it. You just have to be consistent and be determined to, like, achieve the goal, that whatever you're going and striving for.
Love it, love it. So what do you say to that person who's like, look, I have a car note, I have a mortgage, I have 3 kids, I have 4 credit cards, I can't figure out how to squeeze $1 a month. What do you say to that person?
Well, first of all, that's a lot. But you know, when you have all that going on, if you can't figure out how to squeeze $1, you have to sit down and look at your numbers. There's always $1 that you can squeeze somewhere, and if you realize that there's bare bones, you cannot cut back anymore. And I've met with clients, I'm like, there's really nowhere for you to cut. Look for ways to make more money, because a lot of times people are so worried about, I gotta cut this, gotta cut that, gotta cut this. But let's think about abundance. Can we make more money? What can we do? Can you make cakes? Can you braid hair? Can you manage social media? Can you drive Uber Eats? You know, I mean, there's so many different ways. We're in this gig economy now where everybody and their mama got a side job. You almost have to have one to stay afloat. So I always say, look for ways. You know, look at the skills that God gave you and see what you can do, how you can use those to monetize to increase your income.
Awesome. Why do you think retreats like BYOB are so important?
I think they're so important because it's really truly a growth hack for your business and for your life. Just being surrounded by a lot of like-minded individuals. So even when you're talking about money or building your business, like, what you put around you, what you're consuming is very, very, very important. And so investing in your education, in your growth. So if you are in a situation to where you're trying to get to that next level, maybe it be financially or in your business, you want to be around people who have done it, who can kind of show you a pathway that's already been made and just provide you with different resources and be able to meet people like-minded in your industry. So I believe this conference is
truly invaluable, and one of the things that you definitely should use to like pour into yourself, whether it be like I said for your business or just for your personal development.
Christy, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. Now, I know that you are a powerhouse. You just came off an amazing panel. How was that? How was the experience? And just being able to pour into everyone in the audience.
You know, I know that people are hungry for information. They came here because they were hungry. I was so glad to be able to give them some tools that I use day in and day out to help my platform and to help other women grow their platforms.
Awesome. So let's talk about it. What do you do?
I'm a business strategist for women entrepreneurs.
Why? Why is that so important, women entrepreneurs?
You know, women have different needs than men. If you get a group of men and you get a group of women together, we do business a little bit differently. No one's better or worse, but women, we do business a little bit differently. I wanted to build a company that catered to women's needs.
I love that. I love that. So a lot of times in this industry, I feel like women, when it comes to business, we sometimes are not taken very seriously. What does your business do to make sure that we feel confident about what we're doing when we're stepping out there and making those kind of deals?
I teach women how to negotiate and how to make money. So when you know how to negotiate for yourself and go to bat for yourself, when you know how to make money daily in your business, then you'll feel stronger. You'll feel more empowered.
Right. So you brought up something really key, which is asking for the money. I know that is something that we all struggle on. How do we ask for the money?
Well, one of the best ways to ask for the money is to know what you bring to the table first. When you know and you're solid in what you bring to the table, then you don't have any trouble leaving the table if you don't get what you want.
Right. So it's all about knowing your worth and knowing exactly what you bring. So I love that. Now, how long have you been doing business?
I've been in business 15 years. Wow. I've had Women CEO Project for 7.5.
Wow. What are some of the mistakes you think you made early on in your business?
Good question. Wow. I think basically not asking for the money. You know, being scared to actually highlight my talents, being scared to market myself as much because other people might think, well, why is she keep marketing her business or whatnot? And then not taking as many risks. You know, God caught you the last 10 times you fail. Okay, so he's going to catch you this time too. So you just need to take a risk and keep moving forward with your business, with your projects, with your ideas. We have so much technology at this point to where, you know, we can actually build out these empires that we've been talking about for years. So just take the risk. That's one of the things I wish I would have done a little bit earlier, but I'm playing catch up now.
I'm here with Jamal. How you feeling?
Feeling so blessed. I'm feeling so good. It's a great experience.
Yeah, I'm so excited because I just got done speaking with Jamal a second ago. Actually, before we spoke, we actually listened to him speak on the Kpi panel, and he was awesome. One thing I loved about Jamal was you were so authentic. Like, even with the other answers that everyone was giving, you were like, yeah, you might do that, yeah, you might do that, but this is the real, this is what I did, and actually forget all that, this is what it is. So talk about that. Do you use authenticity a lot when it comes to your brand and building your brand?
Yeah, I don't really know how to be anything or anybody else but myself. I think that God gave me everything I need to go wherever I need to go. I don't know how to look at someone else and try to copy them or to follow them and actually like be that. I think I didn't even used to value who I was. So when I started valuing who I was, law of attraction started hitting, you know, and I realized I started attracting the people that I wanted by, you know, being that person. Right. So I don't really know how to be anything else but me. Yeah.
How were you able to build your brand to what it is right now?
I learned everything from Bad Boy. So when I quit Howard for about 2 or 3 years and I worked for Diddy. When I worked for Diddy, I think I learned from some of the greatest people I'm still close with. And I didn't know I could be a project manager. I didn't know I was good at that until they were, I guess, on me, I guess. So after I started teaching, I started battling depression. And honestly, with depression, you think that you're not good enough ever, and nobody supports you. But it was actually my students that poured into me and actually made me believe that I could start a business. So with picking out the logos, with picking out certain things, yeah, it was with my students. Wow. And I thought that was cool because I didn't really know that I could do it like that. So at some point I was like, Jamal Minor, he's not that, you know, he don't think that he's enough. So how can he self-motivate himself to, and then also help other people? And I was like, one day I was just like, well, I guess minor is major. And I guess there's no such thing as minor if there's a major, right? And in my opinion, it's because if it's a minor thought, and it started off really small, at least that's what people make you think, right? But if it grows into something that's huge, was it ever small? Never. It was never small, right? So I feel like, you know, we should like check certain stereotypes and stigmas that they place on us as minorities. And I think that we should create the life we want and be unapologetic about it.
I'm here with Jaleel. How you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing. It's an amazing day, an amazing weekend, and I'm ready to get cracking.
Yeah. You just came off the panel. How was that?
It was an amazing panel. I think that there was so much value that was given to so many different people. People who were really, really hungry for like, oh, how do I grow my business in like this new digital age, And we're in the midst of this like digital revolution, so everybody's trying to figure it out, like how do you crack the code? So it was cool to be able to serve and be able to give value. So absolutely.
Why do you think this retreat is so important?
I think the retreat is important because there's people who are out here who are trying to start, right? I think that this is for the person who's really trying to figure it out, who's trying to start something, right? Maybe you're trying to climb the corporate ladder. Maybe you're trying to, become an entrepreneur, or you already are an entrepreneur. Maybe you're in like season 1 of entrepreneurship and you're just figuring out like the nuts and bolts, the whole personal development field, etc. So I love what Drew is doing, and the entire team at Build Your Own Brand, because it's really that idea of building a foundation. And so I think, it's very, very credible. It's very, very reliable. I've seen the impact that it's having on so many people. So it's a really great retreat.
Awesome. I'm glad you're having a good time.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about your brand.
Yes, all day and night. So North 13th, we're really excited about it. I believe that North 13th, imagine if OVO met Disney. Right? It's a really powerful force. So we're coming to literally change the world. We have this really amazing creative ecosystem that we built. And so it's a cross blend between this idea of an independent music label and a creative house in which we create custom content. We work with, big brands like Cadillac, Revolt TV. We worked with Pizza Hut, and just really helping these bigger brands to properly storytell to millennials and Gen Z and minorities. And then on the other side is this independent music label. We have an amazing artist, Darius Coleman, who is our flagship artist. So he just dropped this record, Love Me Plenty. So make sure you go stream it everywhere that you can, on Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever music is consumed. And we just really want to spread this idea of love and light. That's even why we started North 13th. The idea, the symbolism behind it is not only my grandmom's block back in Philly, but it's the 13th Amendment, which is the amendment that abolished slavery. So the idea that we have when we're creating this content, or we're pursuing it, we're putting it out there to the market, is to really spread this idea of love and light and help people to stop thinking that they are less than and break these chains of like, enslavement that we put on ourselves, honestly, And so we really want to impact the world. We're going to change the world, and it's starting now.
How do you get in with these big brands?
It's all about relationship, showing up at the right place at the right time, building the right relationships, and then that is the key to everything. I think a lot of people make the wrong mistake of thinking like it's all about me and how good I have to be and you know what I'm saying? It's not about any of that. Honestly, it's all about relationships. Relationships have been the key that has gotten us everywhere that we are right now, and we only will continue to grow. Mm-hmm.
I love it. What do you think is the most important thing when it comes to, especially when you're starting out, to building your brand?
Authenticity. And I know that that's a word that's like, so in this ad world space, right? Authenticity. But it really comes from this idea of organic, like, being, right? Like, what is the true essence of what you're building? And I think the first thing that we did at North 13th before we started anything was, what are we trying to do? Like, what is it that we're trying to do? What is the mission that we're trying to service in this idea? And because we found the mission and we understood what we were trying to do, then we were able to go out and do everything else, because we knew, okay, if it doesn't line up with this, then that means that we're not being effective and true to what we are and who we are. And everything, the branding, the messaging, the packaging, the way that we shoot our videos, or the way that we chop our videos, like in edits, etc., it's all with this back on the principle foundation. Who are we? What are we doing? What is our real mission? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's just in life, if you can stay true to understanding your core fundamental values, who you are and what you know yourself to be, like how God created you, now you can be able to do whatever else you want to do because you are being authentic to you.
I'm here with the beautiful Gia Peppers. How you feeling?
Thank you. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Now, Gia just got off the stage with Yvonne, and she killed it.
Thank you.
Please talk a little bit about your journey and how you got where you are.
So, long story short, my dad is a journalist. Okay. So I grew up watching him in the newsroom. He worked at NPR for 23 years, and now he's at the Associated Press. My whole life I watched him, and I was like, I will never do hard news. If it's up to me, I don't care about wars. I'm sorry. No. And thank God I chose that, because now look who's our president, huh? Right? Woo! And so long story short, When I was in college and high school, I always wanted to like tell stories, and then I also really was always on stage. So I'm a singer, actress, dancer by trade, and then mom was like, but what you won't do is spend my money on a degree for something that may not happen. And I said, you know what I can do? I can be on camera. And so it ended up working out where I ended up loving everything about journalism and studying it. And I ended up going to school at Rutgers University, and then from there interning every single semester. My dad taught me about the power of internships. And so I worked with the Wendy Williams Show. I worked with Live with Kelly and Michael. I worked with Donnie Simpson when he was still on WPGC. Big Tigger, when Free was here for a bit. Danella, a lot of different people. So I was waking up at 4:30 a.m. to get to the station. No, waking up at 3 to get to the station by 4:30 a.m. Like, I was focused. And so that's my groundwork. And from there, when I graduated college, I just, continued to take every opportunity. I did overnights in the newsroom for CBS Radio News. So I worked from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. once I got out of college, which was not lit because all the parties were still like just popping, and I had to leave at like 12:30. Like, I was like, I wish I could twerk, but I gotta work. That's a tag, man. I like that. I wish I could twerk, but I gotta work. Don't y'all take that.
Make sure you show
Copyrighted it. It's already copyrighted. Yeah. But long story short, I from there went to NSTARS, and then I went to Essence. I was a junior editor for the EssenceFestival.com. And then when I was at Essence, I was like, oh, they're starting this thing called Essence Live. Wow, that's not a coincidence. So I just was like, I promise you, I'm really good at this. And they were like, okay, little junior editor, just go sit down and we'll come find you. And I'm like, okay. So every single day I was fighting to get on that television platform. And then at the end of it, I basically just fought. And then I was voted into, all at the same time, was voted in to be the host for the Washington Wizards 4 seasons ago. Just finished up my 4th season. And thank you. Sad we did not go farther. And I don't actually play, so I can't be upset. And long story short, it has been faith, drive, and family and ambition that has kept me sustained. And so living in New York and DC also keeps both sustained. I would definitely tell myself, keep fighting, stay focused, stay in faith, stay connected to the people who love you the most, who pour into you and not just take from you, and everything will be great.
This is Flo Essencee TV, and we are signing out.